Hello, hello. Up. Desktop audio's off. There we go. But yeah, what's up, people? Hey, welcome back to Stanley Parable 2. Not Ultra Deluxe, but 2. But yeah, I'm starting the stream a little earlier than my normal time, I would say. Well, as close to as normal time I usually have. Cause I have to leave a little early to pick someone up, but like, we should be able to get a full 2 hours still in. But yeah. How's it going, guys? What's up? But yeah. So, lots of existential stuff happened. I got the whole ending, which was great. And then the narrator pulled it away from me. We got some other things too, but we unlocked Stanley Parable 2. Full sequel status. Look at that. It's on the title screen and everything. It was never a remake. It was always a sequel. But yeah, I didn't want to put this on the title because obviously it would be spoilers, right? It would obviously be spoilers for anyone who sees it later. But yeah. I don't know if this will be the last Stanley stream though. It might be. But we'll see how far we can get in today. Without waiting too long, let's go ahead and jump into the game. This title screen's crazy.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Is it going to be the same as Stanley Parable 1 opening?
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where
there are
he was
balloons this
employee
time.
number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company
Get
had
well
this happened,
someday.
this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers. Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference.
Bucket!
Nor did it advance the... Stanley picked up the bucket.
Bucket Chan! What? Corner dock. Huge. So the new content thing has been closed off now. Huh. Okay.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
Right? Thank you, Bucket Chan. You're telling me all the correct answers.
And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room. No, said the bucket. Don't go to the meeting room. Go
like
somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift. Good, said the bucket. Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do. Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But
Only
Stanley
I can hear
chose
the
not to
bucket's
think
voice.
about this
That's not
obvious
obviously the
fact.
bucket. That's you,
He was
narrator
firmly
Chan,
convinced
trying
that
to
the
trick
bucket
me.
had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Trying to trick me, narrator Chan. I know the bucket. The bucket doesn't sound like that. Bucket Chan doesn't sound like that.
No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, no buckets past this point. Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless, what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly.
No.
So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment.
Alright then. Is this a bucket?
Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket.
Is this
Simple
a strip
enough, right?
club?
This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket.
This feels like a
Okay,
strip
let's
club.
begin. Item 1. Is this a bucket?
No, it's not.
Correct. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Is this a pigeon meme? It is.
Item 2. Is this a bucket?
It is.
Incorrect. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket. Item 3. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. This is a bucket. Item 4. Is this a bucket?
Of course.
Are you hallucinating? This is a tractor. It's an enormous machine that tills the earth. I thought this was a gimmick. How on earth did you manage to screw it up? Absolutely incredible. Let's just move on to the next one. Is this a bucket?
It is.
Correct. This is a bucket. Item 6. Is this a bucket?
Of course not.
Trick question. Both. Gotcha.
Ha. You did. Narrator Chan, you got me there.
Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere. Okay, you and I both know there isn't anything here. And I don't appreciate the implication that nothing is a bucket when we both clearly know that a bucket is something, and therefore nothing could possibly be something. Unless, in your twisted mind, have you somehow convinced yourself that a bucket is nothing? Answer me straight,
It's everything.
Stanley. Do you believe that nothing is a bucket?
Yes.
You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket?
You are.
Stanley, I can't keep doing this.
No, you're not.
I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with.
There's no no.
I'm afraid
You
the
are
bucket
a bucket.
is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely.
How dare you!
Okay, here we go.
No! I got saved, Bucket Chan!
What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait, was everything a bucket? Every single thing in the game was a bucket. Oh my God, I had no idea. How could... Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue. But it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what. I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person? All right, here we go.
Might do something to people.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him.
Input proceed.
Stanley pressed the bucket upon every little thing in the office. Nothing responded to the bucket's touch, but it did little to discourage Stanley's belief in the magic of the bucket.
Bucket is magical. Look at it. It's so safe and inviting, right? Look at it.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Good,
Said the bucket.
now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious
Obviously,
fact.
this is not
He
a
was
true
firmly
bucket.
convinced that the bucket
So
had
I should be
spoken
able
to
to
him,
go to
and
the
he
door now.
unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked. No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, "No buckets past this point." Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless, what if the problem is...
Oh, it's the same. Yeah. Okay. It was the same.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers. The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket.
Input received. Let's go all the way on
Stanley
the
clutched
platform
the
this
bucket
time.
tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Well, no, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room.
Okay,
Go somewhere
if
else.
you can hear what the bucket
cargo
says,
lift,
then
yes.
I'll follow
Go.
it.
Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
There's a collectible there. How am I supposed to get to that? There's no jumping, so like, I guess you have to go through there. How are you gonna get to that?
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Now pick up the phone.
Said the bucket.
Pick up the phone.
Whoa, hold on. Why did you unplug the phone? Were you trying to resist the bucket's orders? Stanley, I was joking. Obviously, the bucket isn't talking to you and telling you to do things. Buckets can't talk. It was a joke.
Don't you get the joke? It's funny, Stanley. A talking bucket.
Can't you see? Oh, goodness. I must have really bungled up the delivery if you actually took me seriously. Where did I mess up the joke? Should I have paused for longer or spoken quicker? Comedic timing is so difficult. I wish I were better at it. But there isn't exactly an instructional video on comedy that one can watch to fully... Oh, wait, yes, there is. It's sitting right here. Let's take a
Video
look.
on comedy? Let's go.
What is comedic timing? What is comedic timing? How does it work? How long should it last? How can it be used to effectively silence your political enemies? And more
Sure.
importantly, can it be taught in its entirety within 90 seconds? Thankfully, the answer to all of these questions is yes. Let's dive deeper. If you've ever told a joke or made someone laugh, in all likelihood, you did it while standing 50 to 80 centimeters from them in a room of no more than 76 degrees Fahrenheit, with one of your arms raised straight upward at a 15-degree angle from your body. These are the optimal conditions for good comedic timing. To begin the joke, start by stating and spelling your name. Next, provide a brief synopsis of the joke, including the specific times at which the recipient of the joke will laugh, and then spell out your name a second time. With these steps complete, it's time to begin the humor. Speak the entire joke in no more than 18 seconds and no
Oops.
less than 13 and a half,
But-
pausing only for bathroom breaks when necessary.
See,
When the
see how
joke has
fast my
concluded,
joke was? Look
it
at
is
that.
customary to inform your listener that the joke is over by declaring in your loudest possible voice,
It's
I'm
over!
Dunny with the funny.
I'm
Let's
done with the
practice
funny.
screaming,
Let's go.
I'm Dunny with the funny now.
I'm Dunny with the funny. I'm Dunny with the funny.
Good. This saying is a perfect example of expectations management, which is the cornerstone of good comedy.
Why is The Simpsons
Finally,
in my
it's
educational
time to hand out
comedy
surveys.
video?
Collecting hard
I guess
data
that
from
makes
your
sense.
audience on how rapt they were throughout the joke is the only way to grow or learn as a comedian. An effective survey should be no less than 10 pages long and should include the same question reprinted several times, just to ensure the survey taker is actually paying attention and not simply filling in answers at random. And that's all there is. With these strategies at your disposal, you'll have audiences doubled over in laughter and even tripled over in laughter in no time at all. Just remember to let them stop laughing at some point, you gut-busting little scamp. After all, we're each of us needed on the front lines of the war to fight the 12-legged invader who threaten our very existence and who very likely die in a hailstorm of bullets and mandibles. All of us must be prepared to give our lives to this noble cause, just as our children must do after us, and their children after them. Godspeed, and may Earth reign supreme.
Hey, goodness, this video is a little outdated, isn't it? Well, no matter. I think the fundamentals of proper comedic timing are still as relevant today as they were back then. So with that in mind, I believe the only way forward is for us to return to the two doors and walk through all of this again, so I can try telling my story with more appropriate comedic delivery. Come along, let's head back. I can feel it. This time, I'm really going to nail the delivery. You'll be in stitches. A talking bucket, you'll say? How ridiculous. How absurd. What a hilarious concept. The king of comedy. That's what you'll call me. Thank goodness we had the instructional video. Otherwise, who knows where we'd be right now. Well, I wouldn't be the king of comedy, that's for sure. The bucket spoke to Stanley.
The bucket spoke.
The bucket spoke. Oh, I'll figure it out on the fly. No need to overthink things. Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of two open doors, they entered the door on the left.
But the bucket told me to go right. The void.
What? We're back at the phone already? No. What's going on? There were supposed to be several rooms leading up to this. There was supposed to be a build-up to this point, a dramatic display of remarkable comedic wit which culminates in this scene with the phone. But now the timing's completely off. The joke will never land, or not the way it was meant to. And it's all my fault. I must have forgotten
Yes,
that the
your
phone
fault.
room comes immediately after the two doors room.
Definitely
What an
your
egregious
fault.
mistake. I've made a fool of myself. I don't deserve the title of King of Comedy. I'm nothing. I'm not even the lowliest joke-telling whelp. I think I need to go back and rewatch that instructional video again. Yes, surely that will help me improve my... Here we go. You ready?
Where's the video?
When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of two open doors, they entered the door on the left.
Don't worry, Sage. There's always a bot, but you missed an instructional video on comedic timing.
What? We're back at the phone already? No. Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of two open doors, they entered the door on the left. What? We're back at the phone already? No.
Okay, I guess we gotta go left now.
Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of two open doors, they entered the door on the left. No. You were supposed to go through the door on the right, leading back to the phone. Did you not even look at the instructional video? I think this is all covered very clearly. There's no way I can make the comedic timing work now. It's done. The joke is completely done and over. It's all your fault, Stanley. I'm going to be ridiculed in the community of other joke writers. I'm going to be shamed at every one of our meetings from now on. All because you couldn't watch a simple video and take a hint. Are you proud of yourself for bringing me down, Stanley? Are you proud?
Stanley, you love the bucket so much it's like you... it's as though all of your other most prized possessions...
We already reached the end?
In comparison.
What?
Yes. Well, let me try that again, Stanley. I heard that you are pale with shame over how unabashedly in love with a bucket you are. No? Still not? Is it the delivery? Pale
He doesn't
with
have the.
shame.
He doesn't even
Pale
have the
with
bucket.
shame. Pale. What's another word to describe a bucket? Stanley, this bucket is so metal. I think I saw it playing guitar. No. We're getting away from making fun of Stanley's obsession with the bucket, which was the whole point of this. I'm no good at these jokes. I need more instructional videos. That's exactly what it is. That's what will make me the king of comedy again. More instructional videos. Let's see.
First the instructional video. I'm waiting. Wow, no instructional video. Disappointment. Look at that.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Oh, the barricade's not in the way anymore.
Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers.
Yes.
Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket.
It does.
You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy? It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here.
We both belong in here together with
other
you.
Cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh, no.
Well, comedy ending. That was the
now,
comedy ending.
Is this how low the broom closet has sunk, that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends? That your relationship is purely superficial and convenient? That your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner?
No. No. I know what you're doing, narrator Chan. Yes, the bucket belongs in the broom closet. But so do I. We all belong together. It's all three of us. Can't separate this trio, narrator Chan. We're together.
Well, I never. Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments. Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together. Go through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your feelings for the bucket as they have changed and evolved over the years. Let him have it.
How's your day going, broom closet? I see you have
I've
mop
got you
bucket in
something
your
which
hair.
I think will help settle this debate once
Look at
and
it.
for all.
It's
Here
your
we go.
cousin.
There. Now it's settled. No more debate. No more
You got a
discussion.
tattoo of
Take
my
a
name
hike,
on you,
broom closet,
Bucket
with
Chan?
all your meandering philosophical diatribes about the nature of cleaning supplies and their relationship to broom closets in the natural order of things.
Look at that. Bucket Chan's so devoted to us. They got a tattoo
All right,
of our
I've got a
name.
second sticker back here, and I'm going to slap it on as well because I think it's appropriate. You see? I feel that it works because the sticker is also a bucket. That way, if you're ever unsure whether the thing you're holding is a bucket or not, you can look down at this sticker and say to yourself, ah, it's a bucket. There really is a wide variety of applications for this sticker. You know what? I could take the name-calling and the dismissal of your kinship with the bucket, but now the broom closet is just giving us the silent treatment. And to be honest, I'm sick of the pettiness on display. You can stay here all you like, but I've had it with this impetulant room of cleaning supplies. Easily the most childish such room I've ever been in. I'll see you outside, and we can get on with the story about you and your bucket.
All right. Alone at last. So, what did you two want to do with Stanley, huh? Broom closet? Bucket? What you guys want to do? I see Mop Bucket also had joined. It's your cousin, right, Bucket? Look, you don't gotta be jealous just because they have an attachment that lets them wring out mops to clean. But you don't be jealous, okay? You can carry many things as well. Don't be jealous that it has wheels, okay? You're being impossible right now, Bucket. I never said anything about wanting the mop bucket more than you. I can't believe it. I'm sorry, Broom Closet, that you had to hear this literal art. I'm sorry. We're gonna leave you alone so that you can talk with the mop bucket, so that I'll go talk with Bucket Chan outside, okay? I'm sorry about everything. You're being so unprofessional in front of our friends, Bucket.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Ooh!
You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You
Gamer
can't buy
brain,
that
yes.
sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished?
No,
His
we have
boss would
Bucket
think he
Chan
was
with him.
crazy. And then, something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort.
That's a lie.
And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps.
That's a
How did
lie!
I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong.
That can't be-
Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of
Where'd
bizarre
you go?
hallucinations Stanley might experience without the
Where'd you
psychological
go?
grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt
Bucket.
himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Stanley! Stanley, it's me, the bucket.
Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket.
Come to me, Stanley. Find me.
I can find
He
you,
had
I
to find the
promise.
bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony
No!
and blacked out.
I see it! No!
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other.
I hate this lady.
She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed
She
dead on the
took our
sidewalk.
bucket!
Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
Okay, this lady's cooler than she used to be. She's cooler now. She backflips all the way to work.
I can't wait to tell this story to my co-workers, Stanley thought. How amusing they'll find it. Oh, won't we all just laugh and laugh at the time I thought everyone had gone missing.
Figure Finders Committee. Okay. Okay. I think I'm back. We should be back. Yeah, my computer crashed for some reason. It was weird. Grumtish. Here, I'll visit you. Okay. Okay, we're back. We're back. Sorry about that, guys. Weird. My game just crashed and I don't know. I'll take a look at that later, but it looks like everything's running fine right now. Hope I didn't lose any big progress.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around.
And now this thing's here too. The rope.
Stanley clung the bucket to his cheek. Could his co-workers really all be gone? Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this... No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to them, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
Alright, Bucket Adventure, let me see what's gonna happen.
Oh, good, Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually.
Adventure line!
You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's
Broom
this
closet
bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet.
This is intervention!
That's what fans
Gotta
want from a
leave!
sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've
Get
never
me out of
seen
here.
before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line?
No,
We could
only
make the
bucket
Adventure Line
matters
go
now.
somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it. Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well. Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those
What's
great
up, Gregory?
jokes from the original dialogue?
Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Yes, it's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
No, never. Adventure Line. I know it was a tough breakup, but come on, you gotta move on.
Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer. I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me, it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree? Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready.
No! Never!
Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer,
Yes.
you would see that its
I can jump to
desire
my
to
death.
crush buckets is so
Me and
densely
Bucket can be
loaded with
together.
complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The Broom Closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't
Never!
get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and... The Bucket Destroyer, my prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
Are me and Bucket still together? We should be, yes. Figures Finding Committee.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
My input went to 0 again. I guess it's because my computer crashed. That sucks.
The good old bucket. Just Stanley and the bucket, off on another thrilling adventure together. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to
Oh
the
yeah,
cargo lift.
I made it. Gotta be extra careful walking here.
Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini-stands? Stanley figs? What about Stanlerines? Yes,
We stand
I
the
think I like
bucket.
that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
We stand the bucket. That's what these figures are for. Well, this is completely new. Oh, that's some good art. It's worth What are you talking about? Obviously, there's nothing that's gonna happen when I pick up all 6. It's just for collection fees. I don't know what you're talking about, Gregory. You're sounding crazy. Narrator dialogue.
Okay, this is day number 295, tape number... I don't even know. I've lost track.
Go here without the bucket too?
Nothing feels real anymore. The longer I study this bucket, the less sense anything makes. The sheer euphoria I feel every time I pick it up. No matter how many times I've done it, it's always the same feeling. And the emptiness in my chest when I set it down. It doesn't make sense. There's no explanation for it. I still haven't figured out why I see the world so differently when this bucket is in my arms. Why everything feels so... What do I do with this treasure? I can monetize it.
Monster time. Yeah, yes. Let's do that.
It's unthinkable the amounts of money people will pay for even just an hour with the bucket. This is my golden ticket. But I have to be careful, because as soon as this gets out, there's going to be a target on my back. Even now, I don't know who might be trying to get me. What's that? Who's there?
Try to separate us from the bucket! Amborata. Ooh, that was spooky. So I
All
should...
of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
So I should try going there without the bucket, you say. But it's calling to me. It's calling to me so hard. Oh my god.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly.
I'll
well.
try, but like,
Perhaps he wanted to
leaving
stop by the
bucket chant
employee
behind
lounge
is so
first,
hard.
just to admire it.
I'll come back for you, I promise. I promise I'll come back to you. I
The
have to
lounge was
explore places
sublime,
alone sometimes.
A work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Stanley had now gotten himself so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path.
Gene! Gene's missing?
So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the... You didn't think I was actually just a recording, did you? What a silly and trite explanation that would be. All the back and forth between you and me, all the absurd adventures we've been through, and it all turns out I'm just a tape recording? It was all just in Stanley's head. I bet that's the kind of twist you think is revelatory. I bet each and every time you watch a movie where it turns out all to be in the main character's imagination, you must absolutely bolt off the couch in pure shock at the phenomenal and intricate storytelling. It must be so simple to be you. Life being an unending waterfall of surprises and delights. How much more exciting you must find the world than the rest of us do. Now I've become sad. Look what you've done to me. This is all your fault.
Oh, okay then. Expedition from narrator Chanh there. Makes sense.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Told you I'd come back.
Where are we going today? The bucket asked. Stanley just smiled. Anywhere they went together would be perfectly fine with him.
Yep, we're together again.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley
Let's try
took the
picking
door
up
on
the
his left
phone
to
this
go
time.
back to the meeting room.
We'll try picking it up this time.
Said the bucket.
Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Now pick up the phone.
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket.
What do you mean,
Once
Seth? That
upon a
sounds
time,
amazing.
I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
Bucket Chan! Hello, Stanley. It's me, your bucket. I pressed you to take me to work with you. Of course.
The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head.
Where's the bucket? Where'd you go? There you are. Yeah, let's go back home.
Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if
What
he'll
do you want to
listen
eat
me.
tonight for dinner, Bucket?
Oh, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think, it can't talk. All it will ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location. That's it. It doesn't do anything else.
Don't listen to the loud man. Press Q for us to go back home, of course.
You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a
There
time it
you
was
are.
me he took orders from, me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is his awful bucket, this stupid hunk of metal.
Yes. Ignore everyone except you.
It's sad, but I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it.
You believe I'm real, don't you, Stanley? Let's go back home. Of course I believe you're real.
Yes, I suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store bucket. It's just a little more, what am I trying to say? Sturdier, more capable of transporting liquid. Like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another.
Do you want to go to bed, Bucket? Yes. Yes.
Oh my God, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket?
Go to work, go home. 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 Every day with the bucket.
Oh no. I'm having feelings for the bucket. No, 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 no.
No, the
What's
bucket's
going on?
mine.
Why do I want to be with the bucket? Hear what the bucket has to say. Do anything it asks. What's wrong with me? I don't understand. Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing. Yes, the bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation. Stanley, give me the
No!
bucket. Give it to me. Give me the bucket,
No!
Stanley. I need it. Give it to me now. Give it, or I'll...
You're having a romantic evening and narrator just tried to take us away. We're having a romantic evening. Yes, it's Stanley's bucket. It's my bucket. Mine.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. A good bucket, a strong bucket, a humble bucket, a committed bucket, a bucket of culture and distinction.
What the? This isn't right. What is this? That doesn't seem right. What is this?
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
The synergize our resource. Maybe we are the collectibles. How can you tell you spotted one? You took pictures of them. There will be reward? Red and blue. Near and private but smelly place for an important person. Red and blue. Is this some kind of game? Now, I know where the fireplace probably is and the private place, but where's red and blue? Huh.
Stanley, we must move on from this broom closet, simply because I have no remaining stickers. If I did, you can guarantee we'd be in here for hours. But alas, no stickers.
I don't believe you. This game's absurd? Of course it's not. This is true facts of an office worker. Have you never seen The Office, Sage? This is what happens in that show. And in real life as well.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
I knew it.
Okay, I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies. What do you think, Stanley? What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by 1? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
Got the feeling. Money's for stealing. But not yours, of course, so that's a lovely purse.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation,
is it not
Stanley
here?
may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire
This is
if
a
not for the soothing
fireplace.
presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always. The bucket would, and he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
I guess it's a different fireplace. I think I have seen a couple different ones. Ate multiple times. I'll try that next time. Yeah. No, it's right here. There it is.
You're getting close now, Stanley. You've nearly gotten all of the Figler Anlarines. Very soon, you'll collect the last one, and then the first number will equal the second number, and that will be it. We'll be different people by then. Different in the sense that we used to have none of them, and now we have them all. You can't go back to when you had no Figler Anlarines. None of us can. The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death. The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
Lover's suicide.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket, but what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
Never.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end, as it was crushed violently to death. It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
You got your own Wait a second! Wait, it's not in my hand! You're not... Where'd you go? You're standing on the precipice of knowledge. Much like the bucket itself, the human mind is frequently empty within a cavernous void. But through use of the exhibit in front of you, the mind becomes full and rich and substantiated. Knowledge of the bucket and its history is the only true knowledge we really have. Will you have what it takes to learn? Hear out with you into the world? Will you accept with an open mind what may be challenging about the information in the exhibit? Will you change the lives of yourself and your loved ones as a result of this exhibit? Or will you turn a blind eye and continue to live as you were, in ignorance and darkness?
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
I should be able to get to it. Game drawings.
No man can own a bucket.
No.
And certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
Come back. I can do it. For you. I will do it!
But there is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision of the...
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
You're still here. Alright. You looked up where the red and blue thing is? Yeah, go ahead and tell me. I don't want to waste too much time trying to find it.
Ah, the embrace of an old friend. A weathered companionship that stands the test of time. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Left to right, left to right, left to right, left to right. Oh, okay. I walked off that, but I brought the bucket with me, so it didn't let me go. So I guess I should go there without the bucket then. Oh yeah, I remember the red and...
were gone.
Wait a
What
sec.
could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
All the computers are on. The end is never the end, the end is never the end, the end is never the end.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Stanley felt lightheaded, butterflies in his stomach, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not.
Thanks, Game Rant.
I realize
Thank
that
you, Game
investing
Rant.
your
Thank you
trust
too,
in
Gregory.
someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that
There
I'm
you
on
are.
your side. And there it is. The last Stiggly Wiggly. Savor this moment, Stanley. This is a real accomplishment.
It is.
This is doing something just for the sake of doing it.
Exactly.
Where so many people expect to be rewarded for the most trivial achievements, you've insisted that a job well done is its own reward.
Kinda is.
I would tell you that I'm proud of you for collecting them all, but that would be like a reward, and we can't have that. So, instead I'll just say, it's done. We're all done here. And now we can go to whatever the hell you were doing before you hunted for figurines. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Sure, I'll follow your instructions.
Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you. What do we want? What are we looking for? Here. Yes. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? If
We're
we
back
just
in
stay
domestic
right here,
abuse.
right in this moment with this place.
We're back in the
Stanley,
domestic abuse room.
I feel happy. I actually...
Sorry, narrator Chanh. Goodbye. I can't go through that a second time, man. I can't go through that kind of abuse a second time. Wait. What the... What is going on?
Stanley, I'm sorry, but I have to put a pause on things. It's those figurines. Those figglers. I haven't stopped thinking about them since you nabbed every last one. Wasn't it just the most intrinsically fulfilling moment of your entire life? Didn't it fill you to the brim with inner richness? Yes, I know we're supposed to be telling a story, but won't you please indulge me with one more trip back to the memory zone? I would love nothing more than to revisit the figurines. Just one more time.
Now remembering when Stanley found the collectibles. There's a whole new section. Would you look at that? I wish Bucket was here with us.
Here's where it all began. The first collectible. Back then, we had no idea of how many of them we'd find. Sure, it said 6 right there on the screen, but how could we know for certain? We were so innocent. We'll never be like that again, Stanley.
Seven. Yes.
And here was a second Stanley. I'll be honest, back then I had no faith in you to find any of them, let alone 6. But you continue to surprise me in all sorts of mundane, unremarkable ways. Okay, let's do a little quiz. Which of these rooms was the room you found your third mini Stan? Can you remember?
Are we going in order of how I found it? Or in order of when... what happened first? Because if it's in order I found it, it was... Definitely, yeah. I got it from the stairs. And the third one, I believe, was the warehouse, that's right. And then I went to the bathroom.
Hey, that's exactly right. It was here in the warehouse. It was the third one. You picked it up, and then after that, you had 3 of them. I'm glad these moments are so crystal clear in your memory, but I shouldn't be surprised. After all, science tells us that it's impossible to forget your third time doing anything.
That's cool that it keeps track of that. That's actually pretty cool.
Let's see, what came next? Oh yes, we found a Figley in his pink room.
No.
Oh, well, I can't actually say I remember being in this room, but it's here in the memory zone, so it must have happened.
That's wrong. I'll take it, though. But that's wrong.
This was the 5th mini-Stan, and this one was really something special. It was behind the boss's office. I remember it so clearly. In fact, because this one is particularly special to me, I made a little video to commemorate the occasion. Enjoy.
Really? Oh my god, no! No! I can't believe they did this. Oh my god. $2,000 AMPs, where you at? 2002, 2004. Who remembers? Best Boys narrator? You're saying a lot.
Takes you back, doesn't it? I spent a lot of time making that video, but it was 8 minutes I wouldn't have spent on anything else.
I feel attacked. Oh. Sorry, Sage.
And then, Stanley, then we came to the last collectible, the final figurine, right here by the red and blue doors. This memory is the most distinct and clear in my mind, perhaps because it was the one that happened more recently than all the others. Who can truly say how the mind works? All I know is that this is the moment where you picked up a Figley and I thought to myself, yes, that's all of them. They're all collected. It was a moment unlike any other. Except for the other moments picking up figurines, which it was exactly like. And then there was no more, because we've caught up to the present moment. Nothing left to do but move onward into the future. Goodbye, memory zone.
Well, okay then.
No, I'm not done. I'm not ready to move on. Stop the loading screen. Isn't there some way we can stay here, keep enjoying these figurines? Let's just go backwards. We'll do the memory zone again from the opposite direction. See how that feels.
Let's go. Let's do it.
Okay, yes, the room with the red and blue doors. I remember this. I must say, of all the figurines we looked at in our initial tour of the memory zone, this one is the most distinct and clear in my mind. Let's keep going, I want more. And here's where I made that video. Don't you remember the video we watched?
Yes. Oh my god! Speed run!
Yes, I love that video. Still don't remember the pink room, Stanley. Still no memory of this one. Good room, though. A solid room.
I can't remember what the pink room actually
These
replaced.
really were a treat to hunt down. You know, if there had been any kind of reward for finding all of these, it really would have muted the intrinsic joy of collecting them. I'm very glad we resisted the temptation. Next one.
Boss's bathroom, that's right. I can't go here? What the?
This was our second Figley. Don't you remember? Yes, I remember it too. The past is truly a wonderful thing. Why does anyone ever choose to leave it? Keep going. This is it. The very first one we found in the exhibit where I introduced you to the Figlarines. Oh, I want more memories, Stanley. I want to keep going. What else is there? What came before this?
Jump circle!
Look, it's the terrible new content.
Oh
that we
no,
were
I've
originally
blowed
sold
it
on.
all out.
I remember hating it back then, but time does put a rosy filter on everything. In fact, I dare say I'm actually quite fond of it now. Look how much fun the past is. Oh, yes, the two doors. Who could have forgotten that? A classic memory, this one. And before everything else, there was your office. Is there anything else? Was there something that came before your office? There's something I feel I can remember. I can remember. Yes, I'm remembering something now. I remember before this whole story got started. Back then I was different. I used to make big decisions. I was passionate. I was skeptical. I weighed each decision with profound thoughtfulness.
Wait a
And
sec.
then somewhere along the way, I stopped making decisions. I became lazy, and I came up with a character named Stanley to do my thinking for me.
Wait,
He would make
what?
the decisions. He would decide which way to go. I would cheer him on as he collected figurines for no reason. Why did I invent Stanley? Was I lonely? Yes, perhaps that's it. Perhaps I needed to imagine I had companionship. And Stanley really did make for a wonderful companion, even if he was a fiction. But I suppose it's grown old. I want to think for myself again. I want to go back to how it used to be. Yes, I can be on my own again. I can do it. I'll be stronger this time. I'll take care of myself. I don't need Stanley anymore. Oh, but he truly was so much fun to play with. You know what? Since we're in the memory zone, how about one more good memory? Let's go back just once and give Stanley one more run of the office, and then I'll retire him for good. I did enjoy telling his story so very much.
Oh wow.
Okay, here we go. This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Oh, that was weird.
Hello. This is a recorded message scheduled either by you or a person in your place of work. The purpose of this message is to warn you about the dangers of recorded messages. If at any time you believe you are listening to a recorded message, please terminate it immediately and cease all flow of information from the recorded message into your perceptual sphere. Thank you, and have a pleasant day.
Oh, that was weird. Can I open this door? Door's open there.
The bucket made Stanley want to be a better man and a better co-worker. In time, perhaps, he would become both of those things.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
So I did the phone. I unplugged the phone with the bucket. I went through the scaffolding with the bucket as well. I went down the elevator with the bucket too. I haven't gone through the mind control place though.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
I can't believe I can't share the beauty of that room with Bucket Chan. Only with you, narrator. My favorite song. Very tall building or very slow elevator. You decide, right? This floor looks exactly the same as before.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned
Let's try that
to
8-8
discover
thing you
not
were
an
talking
indication
about.
of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire, if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the
Was
dark
that it?
clouds
Just
of
the
confusion
achievement?
and chaos.
That's cool.
It would be with him, always. The bucket would. And he knew it. The two of them were inseparable.
8.
At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845. Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845. Two, 8, 4, 5.
Might need it without the bucket then, yeah.
Forgot, but it turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in, and the door just opened all by itself, and Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
Yeah, I'm guessing you might need it without the bucket for that one. I wonder if I can take my bucket to my award show like I did last time.
Wait, Stanley said to the bucket. Can we go back up? When I was pressing those keypad buttons, there was something very intriguing about the number 3.
Oh!
I want to go back so I can try pressing the number 3 again. The bucket said nothing.
Ooh, you said 3 and this... Oh? It's different.
Here we are, said Stanley. Now I'm going to try out that number 3 button. He took the bucket over to the keypad and began absolutely slamming on the number 3 over and over. Wow, he said. The number 3 is such a special button. I'm having the time of my life. Stanley looked expectantly.
Number 3 was one of my favorite characters in Kids Next Door.
The bucket remained silent. This was a shock to Stanley, who had always felt such a connection with the bucket. How was this not as exciting to the bucket as it was to him? Once Stanley had had enough of the number 3, he got back in the elevator. Perhaps the bucket had missed something. Perhaps it had not seen how much joy Stanley got from slamming the number 3 repeatedly.
Let's go back up.
No, said Stanley to the bucket. You can't go on yet. Not till you understand how much the number 3 means to me. You and I have been through so much together, and I just want you to see what I see. Feel the happiness I feel. He smiled at the bucket, and the bucket said nothing.
Quickly, to the keypad.
Here we go, said Stanley. This time I'll really show you. He ran to the number 3 and began to wail on it like a musician on a beloved instrument, weaving a concerto of truth and passion. He wielded the number 3 like a fine artist would wield a paintbrush. He told stories through the number 3, stories of his dreams and hopes and fears. And the whole time, he looked to his bucket for a reaction of some kind. Anything to let him know that the bucket appreciated what he was doing. The bucket conveyed absolutely nothing at all, only silence. Crushed by a wave of dejection, Stanley returned to the elevator.
Aww. Bucket, why can't you see? This is good for both of us.
Stanley and the bucket were so close. They'd always been there for one another. Why suddenly could the bucket not connect with this passion of Stanley's? The question caused Stanley to ruminate the whole way down the elevator. He knew that there must be a way to get through to the bucket, to communicate fully with his dear friend. Surely there was a solution, mustn't there be?
Yes, there is. We go back, Bucket.
Said Stanley. I know what to do. I know how to fully express this feeling in my heart. He decided right then and there that he would hold a press conference where he would speak to the public on all matters relating to pressing the number 3 over and over. He would elaborate fully on what the number 3 meant.
Who is that? There's a
and why he
person!
felt so alive when pressing it. Then the bucket would be
I saw a
able to see
person!
his joy through the eyes of others. It would get to see the world.
That's
react
impossible!
to this discovery of Stanley's. And it would be through the public eye that the bucket would finally understand Stanley's work.
Bucket, you saw that, right?
For
There's
months,
a person
he
there.
advertised and marketed his press conference, building excitement around it, developing and rehearsing it, until it couldn't be refined a single measure further. When
We're
the
back
big day
here.
arrived, Stanley was as prepared as he'd ever been for anything in his life.
Now we gotta hold a press conference to explain it to Bucket Chan. 333.
This was it. One last chance to win the bucket over. One opportunity to share a true connection with a loved one. There was no one here. Nobody had come to the press conference to hear Stanley speak, to listen to him talk
Wait,
about
what?
what it really means
Impossible!
to press the number 3 on a keypad over and over. He was unloved, uninteresting, he was a failure, and in that moment Stanley knew that the bucket would never again take him seriously.
No.
There would be
It
no
can't be.
connection, no deeper understanding. The bucket merely sat there in his arms, indifferent. And so it began that slowly, over many years, the two of
No!
them grew more and more distant.
I'm
They
not a
spoke less and
failure!
less, neither
No!
wishing to state the obvious, that any sense of real respect between them had eroded since that day at the press conference. There would be no more games, no more long conversations about passion and pursuit, only a silence that consumed the space between friends.
Bucket! No!
Stanley,
Don't look at me like that!
having for once in his life discovered the warmth and comfort of true companionship, was cast back into the unremarkable normalcy of loneliness.
You didn't see it. It was by the truck. There was like a truck going up the elevator. There was a person next to it. But no. Bucket.
How wonderful. Stanley was alone. Finally. This is great, he thought to himself. This is what I've wanted all along. I got what I wanted.
Doesn't sound like something Stanley would say.
Not everyone is so lucky to have a bucket, but Stanley is a very lucky fellow. Very lucky indeed. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers.
The Windows thing?
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
You can go out the way.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always. The bucket would, and he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845.
Oh, 2845.
But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What
Oh yeah, we
horrible
saw this
secret
from up
did this
there
place
last
hold?
time.
Stanley and the
In, I
bucket
think,
both
part
wondered
one.
to themselves. The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock.
Impossible.
Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring him. But just as Stanley was about to proceed further into the mind control facility, he tripped and fell over the railing and into the dark void below. Thankfully, he fell directly onto the bucket, which safely cushioned his fall. Now, what to do next? Stanley wondered. Stanley and the bucket could find no way out of this enormous pit, and so eventually they decided that the best thing to do would be to simply get comfortable down here. so they set up a little couch and relaxed.
Oh,
It really wasn't so bad down here. A bit cold, perhaps.
nice.
After some time had gone by, they installed a few shelves as well, and a sort of kitchenette that was useful.
We're building
for when
our
the
own
bucket
life
was craving
bucket.
paninis. But it wasn't until the rugs and the standing lamps came in that it really started to feel like a home. In fact, after some time, Stanley realized that it had been ages since he had even thought of the mind control facility at all. He'd never gotten to fully explore what was up there, never been able to unearth the many mysteries of the mind control facility. This lack of closure began to eat at him.
No.
Soon he
No.
was dwelling on his regrets, and the state of
I
the
have no
home slowly
regrets.
decayed as Stanley became withdrawn and neglected the cleaning. It unsettled the bucket deeply. Stanley wasn't usually like this. The bucket tried to reach out to him again and again, but to no avail. All Stanley could think about, all he could talk about, was going back, doing it over again, staying on the path. It was a mistake to leave the path. It was a mistake. It was a mistake. I need to do what the narrator says. I need to see the true ending. This made no sense at all to the bucket, which was simply trying to live its life down here as comfortably as possible. Yet Stanley was unconsolable. This isn't an ending. This is just a hole in the ground. The bucket sighed. True, it wasn't an ending. But it's where we happen to be. And maybe, possibly, if we accept the reality of things, maybe this will become an ending eventually. It's what the bucket was counting on. The two of them waited for a very long time.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, I'll try that. But, yeah. I'll try this one last thing you're talking about, and then we could probably end it here tonight. Oh, talking again.
Hello. This is a recorded message scheduled either by you or a person in your place of work. The purpose of this message is to warn you about the dangers of recorded messages. If at any time you believe you are listening to a recorded message, please terminate it immediately and cease all flow of information from the recorded message into your perceptual sphere. Thank you, and have a pleasant day.
Okay. I'm gonna do it with the bucket, though. We can't do an ending without the bucket. That would just be madness. Insanity, even.
It takes a lot of humility to carry a bucket so magnificent. Stanley checked his ego and then proceeded onward.
Okay. So you tapped the computer, then crouched to the windowsill.
Yes, whispered the bucket into Stanley's ear. We've done it. We've escaped from that dull office and that pesky narrator. At last, out here in the white void, we are alone. Now, and for the first time, I can reveal to you my true self. The bucket began to tell Stanley of its life and its history, of the countless wars it witnessed, desecrating the land and lives of untold numbers of innocent humans, and the bucket's own complicity therein, of sadness and regret, and the many years it spent dwelling on the actions it might have taken to curb the madness and the decay, if only it had been stronger, of hope and redemption, and its crusade to uplift the stock of life for the common man, to manifest justice where none existed, and the bittersweet reality of time, to see one's dreams and wishes met halfway, meted out in parcels like charity, and abandoned as soon as the warm glow of inspiration begins to dim. The opportunities to do so much more. There was so much it could have done, perhaps, the bucket wondered to itself. Perhaps, if it had seen its own darkness with a clearer perception. This was way too much for Stanley.
What are you talking about?
He screamed.
You're a bucket?
No,
To this, the bucket furrowed its brow.
I would never say that.
Said the bucket. Not since the evil wizard Gambhorata first ensnared me in his machinations as payback for the sacred amulet I stole from his treasured vaults. I was young back then and could not conceive the ramifications of...
No!
Stanley screamed even louder this time.
This is stupid! You are a bucket!
The voice acting.
This is so stupid! Why are we even doing this?
As Stanley screamed and screamed and screamed, the bucket revealed its true form, transforming into a mighty beast of untold power, its fangs glistening like... My God, Stanley, you did it. You saved us from the bucket.
No!
Thank God
Come
you
back!
already had all 12
Come
emblems
back!
of sages and knew the incantations to summon their true power.
It can't be!
Otherwise, we would have easily been overwhelmed by the bucket's power. I'm
No!
speechless. You've demonstrated such bravery here today. Come, let's restart the game, and we'll agree to never again go trifling with this bucket.
No!
Nor the
I'll
dark
stay here
magic
forever
cast
with
away
it.
inside of it.
No! No! You can't make me forget. No. Bucket.
Wait, Stanley thought to himself. Am I sure that the orders stopped coming in? How is that possible? They never stopped. Surely I was mistaken. No, the orders were still missing. For now.
Bucket. I killed the bucket with my own hand. My true love. Can't believe I did that. Oh no. I'm not worthy of touching you. Of your beauty. I'm not worthy, Bucket. I shall go into the void myself.
At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map, until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet? Ah, then in that case we'll continue. But now, here comes the real question. What do you think would have happened if you had told me that you wanted this to stop? Do you think it would have been particularly different? Would I have taken the same idea but rephrased it superficially to fit that answer? Perhaps you never would even have thought of it if I hadn't brought up the issue in the first place. Oh, now think about it. Will it be worth it for you to restart and then come back here just to do the other option? Clearly, this whole gag takes some time. What if the other option is even longer? How long will you spend in total just to have heard all the narration? Oh, and this is rich. Perhaps you've just played the other option, and now you've come to see what happens in this one. So, what do you think? Which choice was the better one? Imagine if you had selected Continue on your first playthrough, how tantalizing it would be not knowing what happens when you pick the other option. Indeed, you are one of the lucky ones. Though if the other option is really miserable to listen to, then perhaps you're not. In fact, I'm just going to say that no one who's listening to this is lucky. Well now, I've built up the other option so much that I'm going to stop talking and leave you to your decision whether to come back here, continue with the game, or just sit in this spot forever and ever. Cheers.
Well, this is what I deserve. To spend eternity in this white void with just a single question. Forever out of reach to the bucket, so I can no longer hurt it. Yeah. It's what I deserve. switch over because yeah, it's time to go. It's just a gag, you can exit the game. No. This is the true ending. After what I did to that bucket in the other timeline, how could I deserve to keep playing this game, Gregory? Oh no! I murdered it! My true love! I murdered my true love! Don't you understand? But in all honesty, very great game. Ooh boy. There is so much stuff in this game, it's crazy. Like, for real, it's insane. And I am happy with it. Yeah, fun stream. I don't think there's too much more I want to do. So I think this is probably the last Stanley stream. I think it's a good place to let it off too. Because especially I also got all the Stanley figurines. Thank you, Gregory, for helping me find that last one. But yeah, I think it's a good place to end it off. But yeah, this is a very Obviously, I did not do everything in this game. 100%. Definitely not. That could be its own thing. But like, I'm satisfied with where I'm at with it too and everything. And if I ever feel like coming back to the game, I can. It's always there. Yeah, I can take a new unless I miss. That'd be cool too. But yeah, like I said, I think it's a good place to end it. That's just my opinion. But yeah, final stream is cool too. But yeah, like I said, I might come back to it another time and everything. But like, I can only handle so much existentialism. Okay, to be honest, that I can really only handle so much existentialism. I need more. I need more anime tropes and bullshit. Okay, to ignore these parts of my life. I need to go back to the anime JRPGs. I need to go back. I need to go back. But yeah, so next stream, speaking of anime JRPGs, is going to be Tales of Arise again. So I know you guys are super hyped for that. That was super cool. That's super cool. But yeah, but also what's gonna take place of the second game I'm playing, like I've been saying, Devil Survivor 2. Oh, record breaker. Like I said, Devil Survivor is probably my favorite Shin Megami Tensei spin-off. That's also including Persona. Like, if I had to put it next to each other, Devil Survivor and Persona are very close to each other. Because I really love the art in the Devil Survivor. But between Devil Survivor 1 and 2, in my opinion, I like Devil Survivor 2 a little more. But yeah, I hope you guys are excited for that, because I am. And I hope you guys can join me for that journey, too. Because it is a lot. It's a lot of fun, in my opinion. Yeah, for any other games, interest in Life is Strange? Life is Strange? That is an interesting one. I might have to do that, too. Like, maybe after Tales of Arise, I'll have a break between that and my next, like, action RPG. Because it's a short game, so, like... Yeah, I might do that, too. That's a good suggestion, Gregory. Thank you. But yeah, like I said, I just have to think about all that. If you guys... Like I always say, is like, if you guys have suggestions of games you'd like me to play, you can always just say it in chat, put a message down in the comments, or, like, if you have me on Discord, you can message me as well. But yeah, I'm always up to suggestions. But yeah. With that, like I said, it's a good place to end it off. The White Void. No, like I said, I enjoyed the Telltale style games. Because if you've seen it, I played through the Batman Telltale games, and I really enjoyed it. So it would be interesting to play Life is Strange as well. Like I said, I do want to do the thing, yeah. Fire Emblem Three Houses is also a good game. It's a huge game, yeah. So, like, it'll have to be, like, one of the RPG things. I might do that after Devil Survivor 2. Since, like, you know, Three Houses is also a tactical RPG like the Devil Survivor games, so that'd be cool too. But yeah. Thanks again for joining me with this short existential game, though. But yeah. With that, I really gotta go. I gotta pick someone up real soon. Hope you guys had fun. Sorry again, my computer crashed and all that, but what I didn't do. My computer couldn't handle the existentialism either. But yeah, it was fun. I hope to see you guys next time, and I'll see you guys for Tales of Arise. Later.